Why anime protagonists tend to usually have basic powers. This video we're about to watch is gonna explain that, so let's just check it out, man.
Has this ever happened to you? You watch an anime and suddenly some random side character pulled out the most mind-blowing, insanely creative ability you've ever seen. You're sitting there like, what just happened? But then you look at the main character, the most important person in the entire story, and you realize that their power is basically punching hard. What? So I did some digging
Yeah.
and I discovered that this isn't rare at all. It's a trope that's been around for a very long time. From the oldest classics.
Low-key, I have an idea why, because I've heard something about it before, but I'm gonna just let the YouTube video explain it,
To
so we'll see.
whatever new series came out last week. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you Protagonist with some of the most basic abilities ever, and we're finally going to find out why side characters get all these
Bro, Ichigo is the worst offender. Hold up. No. Okay, because people talk about Itadori, but at least, bro, Itadori is like the left-right merchant. We know that it's cool, it's tough. Ichigo exists in a world where niggas is creating the sun in their Bankai. They're creating illusions. They have a giant freaking needle. Even that one is kind of basic, but it's a freaking long, fast needle that can inject poison inside of someone. Um, bro, Soda no Shiryuki, ice, crazy freezing temps. You got Hisugaya with his Bankai in his full version, which we gonna see in Core 4. You got Kenpachi with his insane Bankai. Shunsui, and then you have Ichigo who does an energy blast, which isn't even unique because his dad did the same thing while also having a fire typed Bankai and Shikai, bro. But it's like he's strong as hell, so whatever, man.
cool powers, while main characters always get boring powers. To understand why this kept happening, I knew there was no better place to start than with the classics, because those were some of the most famous protagonists of all time, and almost everyone loves at least one of them. Okay, so to understand exactly what I'm talking about, I need to show you this one character from Bleach. This series has this, completely random enemy who's like there for a couple of chapters or something, and he genuinely has one of the trippiest abilities in all of anime. This guy creates these dolls that he opens and they reveal these tiny jelly beans that represent the organs of his enemies that he can just break. Oh, and that breaks the real organs, okay? Like,
Hmm.
super creative, super weird. And now you've got Ichigo, the main character who basically has, one ability. An energy slash. Okay.
Right, right. Energy slash that his dad can do while also still having a fire theme Bankai, but I'm gonna let him cook more.
Okay, but later in the series, he gets Bankai, one of the coolest transformations in all of anime. It
He's supposed to
looks
be stronger
absolutely
energy
beautiful, but to
slash.
unlock and get extremely unique and complex abilities, Ichigo transforms and his slash changes color.
Hype.
What the actual heck, Ichigo? Okay, so what about Naruto? So, at some point, Naruto fights this guy called Neji who has this whole
Rasengan merchant.
elaborate fighting style, okay? Number one, he uses these specialized that can see energy running through people's body. Number two, he uses his fingers to hit these points of energy. And number three, if he needs to protect himself, he has this defensive technique called rotation where he spins to create this defensive sphere, which just looks amazing. And that's genuinely just scratching the surface. Do you
Mm.
know how many abilities Naruto has in this entire series? First, he has shadow clones, which sounds cool, but it's literally him creating copies of
Alright,
himself. And
let's look
second,
at the 10 best power systems in anime. My fault.
he has Rasengan, which again sounds really cool, but it's basically a ball of energy that spins really fast and then breaks stuff. And the funniest part is that throughout the series, they just give him like 10 variations of this one move. And by the way, do you want to know how he beats Neji? By creating a distraction and then punching him. Fist,
Mm.
face, and that's it. Okay, but
Let's pull
what
one
about
though.
Hunter x Hunter? I mean, this series is widely
This part is actually what kind of killed me with Hunter x Hunter for a little bit. Because bro, swear to God, I'm still not even caught up to the Chimerian arc. I still just finished the York New arc, and you have a whole arc with Kurapika, who has a tough goaded power, and then you got me here sitting on Greed Island, looking at this nigga gone do rock paper scissors, bro.
Considered as the series with the best power system ever. Okay, so actually, I just remembered this one meme about this one character in Hunter x Hunter, and I'm just gonna show it to you, okay? The explanation for the ability is, I've got a 10-second preview of the world, an ephemeral 10 seconds. If I keep my eyes closed, I continue to see a vision 10 seconds into the future, while I simultaneously relive the events I saw in the vision 10 seconds ago. Like a parallel universe, followed by a graph that genuinely belongs in a science book. Listen, Hunter x Hunter is known as the series with the most complicated power system out there, so that's totally fine. I love it. I get it. But now, if you look at the main character Go,
Nah, seriously, the only other manga that does this is JJK, bro. Where you'll have a whole chapter explaining their powers. You have freaking diagrams and charts explaining domain expansion, and then you got Itadori, Mister Left Right. That's still my goal though.
his signature ability is called Jajanken, and it is literally based on rock, paper, scissors. Because rock is him channeling all his aura into his fist to punch something, paper is him shooting a ball of energy to punch something from far away, and scissors is a blade of aura to cut things. Like scissors. Yeah, only explanation that came to my mind was this. Okay, so remember when you were a kid, like, pretending to use these techniques? These simple
What?
powers translated perfectly into the real world because they were so easy to copy. Like, don't tell me that throwing a random Kamehameha or a Rasengan isn't, like, the most hype thing ever. And that's why these simple abilities are instantly recognizable. When a power
Iconic.
is dead simple, it sticks to your brain in a way that complex abilities just don't. Except if you were that one kid pretending to be Neji, in which case, I wish I had your confidence. Okay, so now I had the
Nah, you pretending to be Neji, you're a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. Zero martial arts class taken, bro. He's just throwing his arms around.
first piece of the puzzle, but these series started like 30 years ago, so that didn't explain why this was still a trope. Now, I looked into some newer anime and manga to see if they had different reasons, starting with arguably the biggest new gen shonen right now, Boruto. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, thank, bro. I was about to go off. I was actually about to talk so much trash about Boruto. And mind you, I read the manga and I'm caught up, and I actually like Boruto. But that's not gonna stop me from talking trash about it. Okay.
I'm kidding. Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay, so in the last
There
couple
we
of
go.
years, it's
There we go.
very possible that you've seen this character around. His name is Gojo, and
My go. That's the king, bro. Hold up. What y'all know about Satoru Gojo? Hmm? What y'all know about my blue-eyed king, bro? My blue-eyed goat. That's the bro. That's literally him, bro. You can't ever say any anime or manga has done the strongest trope better than Gojo Satoru. That nigga was so good at his job. Gege had to keep writing him out of the story because he hated him that much, bro. He hated how perfect he was. That's how glorious he is. But we keep going. We keep going.
he became one of the most popular characters in decades, I would say. And one of the reasons for his popularity is his limitless technique, which is basically an infinite barrier around him. And the word basically is very important here because this ability is so absurdly complex that people have made entire articles and videos just trying to explain how he works. Like, I kid you not, there's literally a video called Explaining Gojo's Infinity with Calculus. This is the level of complexity at
Mm.
which we're operating, okay? Now, Yuji, our main character, has no technique. Like, you think I'm joking, but this dude is just a really athletic guy who
Who can enhance his body with cursed energy? He has techniques in the Shinjuku arc, but
can punch things. Okay,
I guess that would be a little bit of a spoiler. I mean, to me, it's not a spoiler because all the leaks, all the spoilers are already out on TikTok and Twitter, like back when it was dropping. But I guess to some people who still haven't seen anything about Shinjuku, that would be a spoiler.
I'm lying. Gojo actually taught him how to put energy into his punches, which makes his punches stronger. My bad. Like, take his battle against a character called Mahito. One of the most intense fights in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. His opponent turns himself into tiny balls. He turns himself into this barbed wire thing. He turns himself into whatever that is. And he does so much more, so much of this absurd stuff. And here, I made a list of all of Yuji's moves in the fight, so it's kick, kick, punch, double punch, kick, punch, big
That's
punch,
my go.
push,
That's
kick,
my go.
double kick, big punch, kick, kick, punch, punch,
Mr. Left and
big
Right don't
punch,
miss.
stare into his soul, win. And trust me when I say that this fight is an absolute banger. I mean, it is so easily one of the best fights in this entire series, which is weird, right? Because it wouldn't make sense that if a protagonist has boring powers, then their fights would be boring too. But the truth is, when characters have to push their basic abilities to their absolute limit, that's really fun. Every victory feels super satisfying because we know that this guy is working with a limited toolkit against opponents with completely broken powers. It's why fights like Yuji versus Mahito become iconic. It's also why Gojo's best fight in Jujutsu Kaisen is the one where you don't know if he's going to win. And we can also see that in other series like in the beginning of My Hero Academia, where Deku is basically just strong, and every time he uses his power, it even injures him, but his fights are still so freaking high. And these
Yeah,
boring
that
powers is
they can't take that away from My Hero, bro. My Hero has goated fights.
exactly what made these fights freaking hype. I now had one more piece of the puzzle. I couldn't believe that the explanation for all these boring powers was really as simple as the authors want cool fights. There had to be something I was missing. So I decided that the best way to get the final answer was to check out one of the only series that came out earlier than all the shows I previously mentioned and was still releasing chapters nowadays. A series that's one of the most popular, if not the most popular anime and manga of all time.
One Piece
One
here.
Piece. Okay, so Luffy from One Piece has the ability to turn his body into rubber. This means he has moves like stretching his arm for a long distance punch, using both hands for a stronger punch, or even rapid fire a bunch of punches. But now, look at someone like Law, another character from One Piece. He is out here creating these reality warping spheres where he can literally rearrange people's body parts, swap personalities,
Law is my
teleport
other goat, by the
objects,
way.
slice someone without harming them, and perform what's essentially surgery with a freaking sword. The difference is kind of crazy. I felt concerned because for the moment, One Piece was going in the same direction as all the other examples, until the author did something pretty freaking cool. So
No tried. Big Mom died. All y'all lied. Luffy Gear 5. Come on. Stop playing with me.
So, as One Piece progresses, Luffy starts doing stuff like creating finger nets to trap enemies, or twisting his arm like a spring to create more powerful punches. He even inflates specific body parts like a balloon. And then we get to his gear transformations, which are basically these awesome power-ups. And the reason I'm showing
You're
you all that is that there's something crazy about it, is that every single one of his new moves or transformations has something to do with the properties of rubber. I was shocked to find out that even some modern authors used a similar approach. Okay, so Rudo from Gachiakuta has the power to give life to discarded objects, which basically means he can turn trash into temporary weapons or tools, for example, which is pretty simple. It's like you have a fork and then bam, it turns into a trident or something like that. So let's play a little game. I'm gonna give you a couple of objects that Rudo uses in the series and see if you can guess what he turns them into. First, we have a protective amulet. Personally, if I hadn't read the manga, my guess would probably be some kind of shield, but it actually transforms into this massive octopus-like barrier with tentacles that can block attacks, but it only works against enemies who actually want to harm him. Okay, what about this computer keyboard?
good.
It turns into this keyboard rifle that fires homing keys, and when they hit an enemy, they punch holes in the exact shape of the letter on the key.
Bro.
Okay, but what about this completely
No, that was funny. That was funny.
simple box? It transforms into this enormous floating monster head. Luffy's
This guy got a good imagination, bro. Just like
rubber
Luffy.
body and Rudo's trash transformation are perfect because the concept is so easy to understand, but at the same time, applications are limited only by the imagination of the freaking author. This creates such a good foundation if you want a series with a long run. But there's something
Yeah.
even more important here. In One Piece, the simple abilities create possibility. By giving protagonists boring powers with clear rules, they open up more creative avenues than complex abilities. In Naruto, the simple abilities reinforce his character arc. He starts as like the worst student and his signature technique becomes Shadow Clone, the very technique he initially completely failed at. The Rasengan carries deeper significance as a technique invented by the father he never knew. These simple, boring abilities carry the story's message. Effort and determination matter more than innate talent. In Hunter x Hunter, the simple abilities work super well in this really complex world. Because the Nen system already requires so many freaking explanations, giving the main character a straightforward ability creates this perfect lens for viewers to understand this very complicated world. In all those cases, those goated authors know that simple protagonist powers let you focus on things that actually matter. But now my question was, are boring powers really the best solution? Like, are we going to have protagonists with punches for the rest of anime history? So I decided to look at the ultimate series for weird and complex abilities, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Okay, listen.
Once I know how much I like Joe. The Jojo is so good, bro. And really, hold up, okay. All of them do kind of have. All the protagonists do low key have simple powers, but like you said, application is pretty imaginative because Araki's simply that goated. Except for fucking Star Platinum, he really is just a punch merchant.
Listen, this series actually started with the same pattern we've been talking about. The first three protagonists had very straightforward abilities. Jonathan had punching, Joseph punching, and Jotaro had
You can't forget the clacker volley, okay? That's slightly different. And he could pull a Tommy gun out of nowhere. So Joseph was cooking up.
punching. But then I genuinely have no idea what the author did to his brain or what, beautiful mystical life experience he went through, but this series completely flipped. For example, this guy had the incredible ability to imbue life to inanimate objects, like he can transform money into literal butterflies. This girl's ability lets her unravel her entire body into strings, which she uses for everything from fighting to stitching wounds to eavesdropping through vibrations. And this guy starts by shooting his fingernails as projectiles, but eventually gains the ability to create dimensional portals with the speed of rotation of the fingernails he shoots.
I'm sorry for y'all who didn't read part 7 yet, but there's a spoiler. But part 7 coming out soon. Anime's gonna be so hype, but
What is happening? What makes JoJo
bro, y'all can't forget about part 8 Gappy with the bubbles. Yo, what he does with those bubbles gets insane, bro. And I'm still waiting to see on what Joe Dio gonna pull up with because right now I like Joe Dio's stand power. He's tough.
so freaking fascinating is that it deliberately moved away from simple protagonist powers and embraced complexity. And the series only got way better after that. It proves that while simple protagonist powers work well, it's not the only viable option. In the right hands, complex powers can actually be super cool. Listen, there are a lot of good reasons for protagonists to have boring powers. But what I can say 100% is that there's no best way to handle protagonist powers. Every method can produce absolute bangers when executed properly. And one thing's for sure, is that it will never not be hype to get up and pretend you're throwing your favorite ability.
You're I well, I hope y'all like the video. The guy's name is Cave Lover. Check him out. Pull up to the streams, bro. I'll catch y'all.